My daughter Dana fought a long battle with Crohn's disease before passing last year. Max has spent a lifetime scoring goals.
It's our goal to help the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation find a cure for this horrible disease, so no one else's child has to suffer like Dana did.
Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis may be unfamiliar to you, but there are currently over 3 million Americans suffering from both. Join Max and I in scoring our goal to find a cure.
It's the Ed Bernstein Show, Home Edition. Now, here's your host, Ed Bernstein.
Hey, it's my pleasure to spend some time with Governor Steve Sisolak, and welcome, Governor.
Thanks, Ed. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for being here because, you know, I personally am a little bit confused on with what you can and what you can't do with COVID, and I thought this would be a good time to just kind of identify for all our viewers, you know, what does it mean if you're vaccinated? What doesn't it mean? How many, you know, are we open 100% or when, or 80% or 50? It's, you know, right now we're kind of going through a period where I think people are optimistic on one side, but, you know, trying to be careful on the other side.
Right. Well, let me try to give you a thumbnail synopsis of it here. We turned over control of the COVID restrictions to the counties, to 17 counties. As governor, I maintain control over mask wearing, that we have still require masks when you're inside. The gaming properties are governed by the Gaming Control Board and Chair Bryn Gibson. He governs the restrictions as it relates protocol specifically on the gaming properties. The other county functions were turned over to the 17 counties. They all have plans in place to mitigate the spread and to move on to the next level. I know a lot of the resort properties have gone to 100%. I'm really proud of the resort properties in Southern Nevada. They're over 80% vaccinated, which is incredible. They ran several promotions. I know the Cosmo gave out $1 million. They divided up between their employees if they got to 80%. Right. MGM gave a whole abundance of prizes and awards out. Different ones have used different promotions. I know the Strat had a promotion. They're at 100% now. So done a great job in the properties to get it up there. The rest of the community, we're struggling a little bit. We need to get above. They said they wanted to get to 60% before they'd open up. By June 1st was my goal. That's proved to be very difficult. They have opened up a couple of drive-through vaccination sites now, which is definitely going to help. And we've got to get out into the communities to get those vaccinations in people's arms. And that's what they're focusing on right now.
Mm-hmm. Do we still measure the the positivity rate?
Yes.
Does that still count, or it doesn't? Or?
Yeah, it still counts. We were very high. We were 13, 14, 15% several months ago. We got it back down under 5. We've edged up just a little bit to about 5.7. Now it's fallen back down to 5.4, 5.5, which is good. But understand that as we get, that'll hopefully continue to decrease. As we get more people vaccinated, the universe that could potentially be exposed becomes smaller. So we're doing a good job in that area in terms of getting vaccine in the community, but the positivity rate is down. The hospitalization rates are down considerably. We're in the low 300s statewide in terms of hospitalizations as a result of COVID. The death rate is averaging still a little bit better than 3. We're losing, unfortunately, 3 folks a day on the death rate, and the cases have kind of hovered in the 300 range statewide, and probably 85% of that is in Clark County.
I don't envy you. You had to make some of the most difficult decisions in the history of our state. And can you take me through, you know, some of the processes that you use in trying to balance the economic effect in Nevada with the health concerns when you were trying to come up with a balance on your COVID mandates?
Sure, and I appreciate that, Ed. And you're right. A lot of the decisions, all the decisions have been extremely difficult. I mean, I get criticized I'm doing too much, and then I get criticized I'm not doing enough, and then it's back and forth, and both sides are kind of tugging away. Again, you can't, unfortunately, make people happy, and I understand that. I remember fully well when I was in my office at the Grant Sawyer building better than a year ago and went out on the balcony and looked at the strip and said, I'm going to have to shut this down. You know, you could see the lights from my office, and it was just the thought of that and putting hundreds of thousands of people out of work was really weighed heavy on my mind and on my heart. We made the decision that we had to shut down gaming and basically shut down a lot of the small businesses, which was unfortunate. We've come out of it, I think, a lot better as a result of the actions that we took early. The Economic Forum came back with almost $600 million in increased revenue, which is incredible. But I think that wasn't by chance. It was as a result of what we did early. We had to listen to I listened to our medical experts in terms of the science as related to the mask and social distancing. And you got to remember, way back in last March, April, we didn't have vaccines. There was no idea of any vaccines when they'd be coming. We're just dealing with what we could do to stop the spread of the virus. And we're trying to balance on this side, not having the virus spread, and even more so, not overwhelming our hospitals. We're at the point where we had 2,000 hospital beds occupied with COVID-19 for a while, which was really straining our hospital system, that we didn't have enough doctors or nurses or whatnot to get into the hospitals and take care of people. So we're struggling with not overburdening our hospital system and having it just totally collapse. And then at the same time, not shutting down an economy that people desperately rely on their jobs, and that is a source of income to get food on the table and pay rent. So we've made decisions based on the science. People might not like the science, but it is what it is. And we did the best we possibly could under what I thought were difficult circumstances.
You know, as you were making these decisions, I was thinking to myself, what would I do? And most of the decisions you made, I would have done the same thing. However, when I look back upon what you did, there's no way to measure the success of what you did. Because, you know, I mean, what I'm trying to say is that, I mean, look, we had people that were ill, we had businesses that closed, we had people that died. But it probably would have been a whole lot worse. But you can't prove that it would have been a whole lot worse. So right. It's kind of a catch-22 for you.
It is a catch-22. And there's no doubt in my mind that early on, a lot of the experts predicted it would be a lot worse. Our death count would be a lot higher. Our cases would be a lot higher. But I can tell you, when you talk to people, and I did on a regular basis, talk to folks who couldn't get into a hospital to visit their loved one that was suffering from COVID or was dying, or you couldn't get into a nursing home to visit a family member that was in a nursing home. That was pretty tough. I mean, people had to postpone funeral services and celebrations of life and weddings and all the events that, you know, we kind of take for granted. And the total lack of personal interaction made it difficult for people. But there were some good things that came out of it. I mean, I was so proud of the way Nevadans stepped up for this situation. I mean, you talk about our frontline workers, our doctors, our nurses, our healthcare workers, our truck drivers, delivery workers, grocery clerks, those sort of folks that still had to go to work every single day. And when you look back on this, I mean, way at the beginning, Ed, you know as well as I do, there was a run on toilet paper and on water. I mean, things that you just couldn't imagine. I mean, people were in lines in grocery store, and Costco had a line around the block for people trying to buy water and buying tissue and Clorox and cleaning supplies. And it's kind of evolved as we've gotten through this, but I'm so proud of the way that Nevadans have tried to help the vast majority of them. They've participated in food drives, have delivered hundreds of thousands of meals to people. We had to entirely revamp our education system, went to totally online education, and our schools became drop-off points for food service, where these folks could get something to eat. So everything changed a lot in our community, in our state, and I'm proud of the way that Nevada responded.
And as you're looking forward, I mean, do you see some relative normalcy in our schools come this fall?
Yeah, I sure do. I'm hopeful that they'll be back in school 100%. There's some people that don't want to go back, that will still have some distance learning, I think. I'm in regular communication with Superintendent Jara and the other 16 school districts in the state. Clark County is an animal of its own, so to speak. It's so big, it's so large. It's got different problems and bigger problems than the other counties have had. They've been able to get a grasp on it a little quicker because of the size. I know that our teachers have done an incredible job getting devices into all the students' hands, make sure they're connected to broadband. parents tell me they now have a new respect for teachers, having kids home on a regular basis. Now they know what teachers do for them. And we faced a lot of issues here. And I'm really proud of the way the community has reacted and come out of this. But it is definitely our hope that by September that we'll have them all back in school full time.
Yeah, and some help we're getting from the federal government. We're getting, what, $2.7 billion into Nevada. And I know you've been working on a plan on how to best utilize that money.
Yeah, we're getting even more than 2.7 billion. The state is getting 2.7 billion. I know the Clark County is getting several $100 million. I think the school district got $600 million. The federal government was very generous in giving the money out. Now we just have to spend it in a way that we can reinvent Nevada. And we don't want to spend it, we want to invest it. We want to make sure that this goes into programs and assets that'll have a long life, that'll continue to help these students moving forward. And we have to think about it. We're never going to get another inflow of cash like this again. So we have to take advantage of the idea to rebuild our government, so to speak, to redesign it to help the most people.
You speak about something called an infrastructure bank. What exactly is that?
The infrastructure bank is something I'm real proud of. It was passed originally, the idea, in 2017 under my predecessor, Governor Sandoval. And what it is, it's a bank that money can go into, that the state funds, that we can use it to leverage quickly with the federal government. The government has a lot of programs available that we have not been able to take advantage of because you need to match money. You need to put up, for every 10 million they put up, we have to put up 1 million or 2 million or 3 million. This will give us a chance to take that 75 million and turn it into $200, $300, $400 million worth of projects that we can get out in the community. And when you get those projects out there, you do two things. One, you're doing a building that we desperately need, building the infrastructure. And two, we're creating good paying jobs for folks to get them part of the economy again, back to work, and helping to be able to support themselves and their families as well.
I also wanted to just quickly ask you about unemployment in Nevada. Originally, we got, was what, 28% unemployment at the maximum of the virus. Now we got it down to what, 8, 5? Is it 8?
We're right under 10.
8%?
Yeah.
Yeah. So well, that's been a big challenge. But I guess the more difficult challenge is getting the remaining unemployed employed. I guess the first 10, 15 points, people go back to work. But now you have people who've been off work for quite a while. And do we have any programs that you're working on with the state to try to get that unemployment rate back down to where it was prior or pre-COVID?
Yeah, and unemployment has been a challenge. The DETR system was a challenge in terms of getting the unemployment benefits in people's hands. Unfortunately, when you have a crisis like that, and they were supplemented with federal money as well, when you have a crisis like this, you always get somebody that's going to get involved in a scam and try to take advantage of the system. And we had hundreds of millions of dollars of attempts to take advantage of the unemployment system, people that were trying to claim benefits that weren't entitled to it. So we had to go slow with that and make sure that we didn't pay out money that we'd never get back. We've done the best we possibly could. And now we're at this situation, you're right. A lot of people have been called back to work, which is great. You get some that are left that, for whatever reason, some people might not want to go back to work. I think most people do want to go back, but they're looking at, they've got other issues that they're facing. They go back to work. What about the childcare situation that they might have because kids aren't in school? So they have to balance that out. We've reinstituted a work search requirement for unemployment. So now if you go for unemployment benefits, you have to prove that you're at least looking for a job, and you can't turn on a job that was similar and pay the same as your last job did. So that's something to get people going. I know there's job fairs on a regular basis going down in Southern Nevada. I talk to the resort community on a weekly basis, and they're all looking to hire people. And the businesses you can't go into a restaurant or a fast food business without a sign on the window that says help wanted. Now, these aren't paying as much as some people want, but it's a job and a way for people to get going again. So I'm optimistic that kids will be able to find jobs this summer. The students will be able to, going into the fall, and make some money this summer for school. And we've just got to do more in terms of advertising and getting out in the community. But there are jobs available. We just have to connect the jobs to the people. Now, some of the jobs aren't going to come back. And I mean, some of what happened in the resort community, we're not going to get that back. They have managed to automate and to a little bit more efficiency in their operations. So if you had, for example, 20 housekeepers. Now you might only need 17 or 18. So we've got a couple people that we're going to need to retrain into another function, into another job class that they're going to have a future in. And that's what we're looking to do with whether it's coding or it's apprenticeship work or that sort of thing. So we can give people hope for a future and the idea of moving forward with a career.
And it looks like gaming and tourism is really coming back quickly here, at least in Las Vegas. I don't know what's going on in the northern part of the state. I assume it's similar. Why do you think that is?
Well, and it is coming back quickly in northern Nevada and the rurals as well. I mean, gaming in the South, it's done a great job. We've got incredible volume on the weekends. The weekdays now, we're opening it up to some conventions. We got Concrete coming next month, which is great. So bringing in some more meetings, and the hotels are telling me that they're booking up quickly their meeting rooms. I think what it is Zoom calls and Zoom meetings are nice, but after a while, you really want to see people in person again. You want to share a cup of coffee in person or a beer or a glass of wine. You want to be able to go out to dinner. You want to be able to have those things as opposed to just being on Zoom. And there's a lot of pent-up demand. People have been kind of locked up in their houses for better than a year now, haven't had the opportunity to get out. And this is an opportunity. We just have to balance that and release it slowly so that we can maintain control of the spread of the virus in the community and move forward.
Yeah, you seem very optimistic about our economy as we go forward. And I guess you add in some of the new casinos that are opening up here in Las Vegas, as well as some of the businesses that are relocating into Nevada. Is that the source of your optimism?
Yeah, it's really exciting. You've got some new projects. Resorts World, obviously opening up on the Strip, was years in the making. I remember being at the groundbreaking for that many, many years ago when you've been around long enough. Ed, you remember when the Stardust was there, then it was Echelon. That property really evolved as it moved forward. I am very optimistic with the Virgin Hotel taking over again. I'm confident that, and this is a statewide, it's not just in Clark County. I'm confident that we will move forward. You've got the MSG Sphere. I mean, for the first time this fall, we're going to actually have fans in Raider Stadium, which is nice, in Allegiant Stadium, which is really terrific. I'm up north, so I haven't been able to see at any hockey games. But, I can't tell you how excited people are to be in Golden Knights games again and moving into the playoffs. So there's just a better frame of mind right now that people have, and that's something that I'm really happy with. We just need to do what we can to keep that momentum moving.
And by the way, do you have any inside information from your daughter on when the Golden Knights are going to open up 100%?
No, they're still working on it. The hope was by June 1st, we'd be able to get them all in there. That'll be up to the county in terms of, their numbers of vaccinations and positivity and hospitalizations and whatnot. But I can tell you with playoffs coming up, I know a lot of people want to get in to see those games, and it's been a long time. And hopefully we'll get them in there for at least some of the playoffs.
When you look back over the last couple of years as governor, what are some of the things you're most proud of? I mean, the virus has really, obviously taken a little exit off what all our plans have been. But you still, you got the job and you made some immediate changes. You dived right in, and before the virus came. And what were some of the things you're most proud of?
Well, we were able to give teachers a raise for the first time in a decade, which I was really, really proud of in our last legislative session, that we gave teachers a raise. We were able to get collective bargaining for state employees, which is something that I'm very, very proud of. We did a lot on the criminal justice reform front, which I'm proud of. We were able to do a lot more last session when we weren't dealing with a virus. This session has been a lot more difficult. We're trying to deal with a budget that was cut short. Then we got federal money and an economic forecast. So the money's coming back in. So we're going back and forth, and you don't have people in the building this session like we did last time. But I'm the biggest thing I'm proud of is being able to get out and meet this community and travel around the state. Let me tell you something. There's a lot of great people out there in the state of Nevada that really care. They've stepped up to the extent, and I can't even begin to tell you in terms of helping fellow Nevadans get our way through the pandemic. But I believe in the resiliency of this state. And I think that people are going to see that. We're going to come back stronger than we were before. Might be a little bit of a different, Nevada, a different experience you're going to have here. But I think it's going to be a better experience. I think our people are going to be back at work and our economy is going to move forward very, very strongly. We need to do more to diversify the economy, though. I can tell you that in Southern Nevada, every time that, whether it was 9/11, whether it was 1 October, whether it was a pandemic, when an event like that happens, it just decimates our economy in Southern Nevada. And we need to do more to get more, whether it's manufacturing, distribution, other job sectors in Southern Nevada that can absorb some of these employment situations.
On a personal level, you know, your life has changed dramatically, living from Southern Nevada and moving up to Carson City with your wife, Kathy. You know, what were some of the big challenges on a personal level? I mean, obviously you have to have closets in North and South, right? I mean, you need two of each, blue suits, you need two of each.
Yep, you're right. My wardrobe has doubled as a result. The same with my wife. And Kathy's been my rock through this whole thing. She's just been absolutely incredible in terms of helping me through this and being the best first lady I think we could ever have. It's been difficult. My mom's 94. I don't get to see my mom, but when I come down every couple of weeks, I come down now and spend a little bit of time with her. And after the session's done, I'll be able to move back down south and stay a little longer durations. But there's a great group of people up here in Carson City. I got a great group of neighbors at the mansion. 2 years ago, we were able to have a barbecue in the backyard, which is really great. All the neighbors were able to come over and have a hot dog or a hamburger. Last year, we're in the middle of COVID. We couldn't do that. So hopefully this year, maybe late this summer, we'll be able to do it again. But I've got to meet a whole new group of people that really care about this state. I mean, they care about, you know, what we've done, where we're going. And I'm really, really proud of that. So my life has changed, but it's definitely changed for the better. And like I said, I've got an incredibly supportive family with my daughters and my wife, of course, and my mom and my sister and whatnot. So I miss Southern Nevada, but they treat me pretty nice up here.
I suspect that a lot of the people that you work with as governor, you also worked with as chairman of the county commission. But have there been any surprises for you outside of COVID when you got into the governor's office?
Yeah, the staff that we have in the Nevada governor's office is probably the smallest staff of any governor in the country. We have very few people, and they do an absolutely remarkable job. I'm proud of what they've done. I mean, it's kind of like everybody does every job that's available, whether it's, you know, cleaning the kitchen or wiping out the microwave, emptying the refrigerator, or writing a bill that has to go for the legislature. Everybody does whatever they have to do to get along. We're a pretty close-knit bunch. We watch out for each other, which I really enjoy and appreciate. And you got some great people in state government, let me tell you that, whether they're working in my office or they're working in one of my colleagues' offices or in the legislative building, LCB, state employees that work really hard. Our state employees have worked through this pandemic and still managed to get services out, whether that was DMV or Health and Human Services or unemployment, whatever it is. I mean, they've worked hard to try to maintain some sense of normalcy, and I'm proud of that. So the state should be proud of the employees that we have here. And then the other thing that's been huge to me, Ed, is the Nevada National Guard. I mean, when we had the pandemic, I brought them on immediately in terms of getting us help. And we had a great response from General Barry that's just got people there. I mean, they were the first ones that were taking care of testing for COVID. They delivered food to people for COVID. They did the cleaning in the nursing homes for COVID. They're doing vaccines for COVID. They're doing control. We do not have a resource anything near the National Guard. And I am so proud of the work that the men and women of the National Guard have done to support our state. And when any of your viewers see somebody in that uniform out there, just tell them thank you, because I'm telling you, they've saved us during this entire pandemic, and we couldn't have done it without them. We just absolutely could not have done it without them.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I had a firsthand experience when I went and got my vaccine over at Cashman Field and dealt with the National Guard down there. I mean, they were just a pleasure to deal with. And
yeah, they really are. They've always got a smile. They've got a great attitude. They don't have to worry about their wardrobe because they wear the same thing every day, which I kind of appreciate. I like that. But they've got a great attitude, a great disposition.
You've had a hand in helping bring sports into for sure Clark County as county commission chairman with the minor league ballpark. You were involved in that. You were involved in very strategically in bringing the Knights and helping Mr. Foley bring the Knights into T-Mobile. Now we're talking about bringing, I heard the Oakland A's maybe are looking for a place to land. We're hearing NBA teams looking for a place. What is your viewpoint about sports in Nevada and what our future may be?
Sports has grown so quickly in Nevada. It's amazing. And you've been around, prior to the Knights, so we didn't have anything in Southern Nevada or in Nevada for that matter. And I remember when Bill Foley was just talking about the Knights coming and came to see me when I was on the county commission with George Maloof, talking about bringing the Knights here. And they had a couple of events. I remember Gary Bettman, the commissioner of the NHL, coming and meeting me and talking about the possibilities. And he said, because they put in the goal to sell the tickets, if you remember the season tickets. And I gave Bill a check for my deposit on my tickets. And Gary Bettman said, "You're never going to sell this many tickets." He goes, "You will never sell this many season tickets." And I said, "You're underestimating Las Vegas." And he called me back afterwards and said, "You were right that we did that." And then to be able to have the Raiders come here and to deal with Mark Davis and Mark Bedane was just incredible. And what they did and the Aces and the Aviators and so many things. I think that sometime in the future, we're talking about potentially, I've talked to the commissioner of the NBA of getting NBA basketball in Las Vegas. I think it'll happen at some point. I don't know when. Now the price of these franchises has just gone through the roof. So you've got to get an owner with very deep pockets. And a lot of times they don't want to move them. The idea of the Oakland A's came up yesterday. I spoke to the Raiders about that because they were neighbors in Oakland and asked them their opinion. And I don't think we're ready to build another ballpark in Southern Nevada, though. So unless they're going to come in and build their own, which is possible, you never know. But people in Southern Nevada, or in Nevada as a whole, but particularly Southern Nevada, are huge sports fans, incredible sports fans. And you see that when you get the atmosphere in T-Mobile at a hockey game. You can feel it. It just gets into your body. And I imagine that the Allegiant is going to be the exact same way with the Raiders. So we're very, very fortunate. There's not many cities that can have a franchise, much less multiple franchises. And as the city continues to grow and as the economy continues to improve, I think that there's room for more sports expansion in Nevada.
I think we're just about out of time. We maybe have 20 seconds left. Do you have a parting message for our viewers?
Well, yeah. First of all, thanks for the opportunity to join you, Ed. I really, really appreciate it. And for those of you that are watching, thank you for sticking with us as we fight COVID and we move forward. We've done the absolute best we possibly can under the circumstances and the information that we have. And I've got one ask of all your viewers. If you haven't gotten a vaccine, please go and get it. It's what's going to get us out of this pandemic. It's what's going to move us forward and allow us to fill the Allegiant Stadium and T-Mobile and allow us to get all the kids back in the classrooms this fall and allow it so that you can go to shows and concerts and your favorite restaurants. So, and I thank the small businesses that have hung in there, during this. And I just couldn't be more proud of the businesses and the residents of Nevada for how they've dealt with this. And just want to say thank you for that.
And thank you very much, Governor Steve Sisolak.
It's always a pleasure, Ed. Take care.
My daughter Dana fought a long battle with Crohn's disease before passing last year.
It's our goal to help the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation find a cure for this horrible disease.
Join Max and I in scoring our goal to find a cure.